Okay, so this is what we're going to be creating today. It is a movie maker transforming a movie title into some emoji sequences. For example, there's a daily challenge. This is just cosmetic, but that's something we could add. But the actual generator itself. So let's just refresh that. Make sure it's running. There we go. So we can enter a movie title. So we can say Minecraft. Oops. And click generate. And we get a movie here. We can say Super Mario Brothers. That's the title. Generate. Let's say a movie like Jurassic Park. Click enter. And this is what we get here. So we get them in nice little cards. And we got a share button here. Okay. Yeah, so we basically used our design from Lovable. I created this prompt here, and this design has basically been translated over here. Obviously we changed a few things, but that is what we've got. Okay, so now let's take a look and break down the code. So first off, make sure you have your .env file with your Gemini API key. You don't need this middleware because I haven't implemented login, but that's something you could implement yourself. But the first thing we're going to look at is actually the Astro config, because it kind of shows what we need. We didn't, like I said, we didn't end up using Clerk in the end, but that's a quick way to add a login functionality to your website. But we have to put the output as server, and we added the Netlify adapter. This is not necessary for local production, but if you're going to publish it, it's very, very important. So that's that. So obviously we've got the index page that we've been looking at with the emoji generator and the daily challenge. And as you can see here, I've got this thing called tabs here and this button, and they're being imported from Starwind UI. So that's over here. This is Starwind UI, which is for Astro projects. Well, Astro library, UI library. It shows you how to install it. You basically need to add this section here to your JSON, tsconfig JSON, this is it, right here. So that's the first thing. And it also imports Tailwind CSS as well. So you don't need to worry about that. So that's this. So we can change this to, I'll change this to MovieCon or MovieCons, because that's what we're going to call it. That's great. That's awesome. So we've just got a bunch of divs with you know, with these classes. We've got the container class here with the MX Auto. This makes a nice little header. We've got the button from Starwind UI, and it goes to /create, which is where the bulk of our app is. And then we've got a form with this daily challenge. Like I said, we're not really going to do any of that, but that's there just to see a mock-up of how it would look like. Then we've got our card section with all our how it works and all the features. So that's the index page. And then we're going to go to the bulk of our pages. And we've got the create. So we've got the Starwind CSS, which is also Tailwind. We've got input, we've got dialog trigger. All of these, again, are available here from the Starwind UI website. And also it gives you, so for example, the dialog, it gives you an open dialog and also the code in order to make that. So we're inputting that. And then we've got a component here called emoji history card. And if we look at that, it takes in an emoji and a movie title, and it just displays them in a nice way. We can even import button from Starwind. Actually, we have to make sure that we components Starwind button. Yeah. And then we want to make sure that we put it here. Alright, that should style it very nicely. And when this button is clicked, we're basically saying use the navigator and share the MovieCon challenge, and the text will be the message, which is here. What movie is this? You can add whatever you wanted here. Okay, we've got a issue here. What we're going to do, we're going to go to our index page, top. I'm going to copy this here and paste that here. That way we shouldn't have an issue. Yeah. So what this is doing is getting the share button ID, class, and when we click it, we are getting the attribute data emoji and data title. We're putting that into a message, which is what is the movie. And then we're using the navigation to share, and we've got a fallback to go to WhatsApp. That's the history card. So we go back to create, and we've got this site here. This is to actually get the history API. And the history is basically a empty array, or if we get something back from our API here. So if we take a look at the API, just for the history, so we're saying it's an empty array, and we're looking at the history store, and we're basically adding by adding to whatever's already there, if there is something already there, which is a JSON file, and we're actually going to save it in local storage as well. So that's the history. So it's calling anything that's in our history. And obviously we've just got H1 of the title and the paragraph explaining what it is. And then we've got these this dialogue here for price bundles, if you wanted to go that route. So we've just got the dialogue trigger, and it was all from the documentation. And you say buy it for $9.99, and it goes to Stripe. The form goes to Stripe. So next we've got the area where we're actually creating the sequence, and we've got a H2 and a paragraph explaining what we're going to be doing, and the form ID is called movie form, and we've got the input of text, and the name is question, and then we've got button, submit, and the name is generate here. And then we've got a class with an ID of result, and basically when we actually generate the emojis, this is where it will show up, and we'll insert it in there. And then we have our list, we have the buttons here, and then we have our list, our history list. So anything that comes back from the history, we're going to strip out the emoji and the movie title and display it here. And that's the footer, which basically shows, you know, whatever you want, but just kind of like a call to action or information about how the AI generates everything. So next we'll look at the script tag, which is in inline. And we've got the movie form, like we said before. We've got the result div. We've got send email, show WhatsApp, and clear list. Okay, so you want to fetch everything from the history, and if it's something that comes back, that's what we put in here. And if there's nothing, then there's no emoji list. That's fine. If the send email button is clicked, we've got to share history. And basically we want the movie cons list. So mail to subject and body, and it will be it will open up your mailing app. And if it's a share WhatsApp button, then obviously that will go specifically to WhatsApp. And if you want to clear the list, you do the same thing. You get the advent listener, await.fetch, post, and then it will clear everything. If the form is submitted, we want to prevent default, and the result if to say generated emojis. Then we have the form data and the movie title, which gets the question. This is now entering how we're actually generating everything. So we're going to await fetch generate emoji, which is another API call that we have here locally. If it's successful, it will return it, and if it's not, then it will get a response like so. So next we've got the result here, and we're fetching the history, and then we're going to add the item data emoji movie title, and then reload the page. And if we always want to wrap everything in a try and catch block, so that the errors will be kept to a minimum. Okay, so we save that. So we take a look now. Awesome. So we can add what admin. We want to say admin 3. Okay. And man 2. We got that. Yeah. So kind of works here. And if you click share, it will take you to, if you're on a mobile phone, it will open up a way to share it. And here you can share it to WhatsApp, share email. That's the whole list. Or you can click on this one for the individual one. And lastly is the pricing bundles. So I didn't get a chance to implement this, but it's very quick to set up. Using the dialog from ChatCN, we've got more credits here, and you can option to buy them and can extract to those. So yeah, so that's the pricing bundles. So in theory, I mean, that's what we've created. And what we want to do now is show our success, when your payment is successful, and your cancel. Yeah, that's fine. So now we'll look at the generate emoji. This is basically everything we need for generating anything from using AI. So basically we've made a folder called API, and we called a file generate emoji. So we're importing Google Gen AI. It's good, obviously it's good to actually install it. So if we went to, actually on the thing here, we got this here. So this is what we need to do. So quick start. This is what we need to do. npm install at Google AI. Make sure we've done that first, and then we can proceed with the rest. And it's calling it from our .env file here. So what are we doing? So we're starting off with a blank response, and then we're trying to get the response in form data. So where the request that we make sure that comes back in JSON format. And obviously the question, you want it to be data.question. And the response is generate a short string of 3 to 5 emojis featuring that emojis that represent the movie. Only return emojis, nothing else. So that's explicit. And we want to make sure we wait for those to come back, and then we basically get a refresh of the page. So yeah, so that's how we generate emojis with Google Gen AI. I mean, obviously you could use it for other things, but we decided to use it for generating emojis. So next we're going to look at credits. So this is like max credits, adding credits, deducting it. Right now it's not, we're not going to implement that, but this is a way to maybe even monetize the app at some point. As you can see, we're using local storage, and you can change this max credit to however many you like, because eventually maybe you'll go through all the free limit API of Gemini, so you might want to add this as a backup. And we should look at it. So then we've got Stripe. So obviously we've installed Stripe, and we're defining the type of bundles we've got and how much they cost. And then we are creating the session to check out, and make sure you add what you need in your .env file, your secret key, and the other one too. So it's going to take you to these two URLs, success and cancel. And that's it that's it. So we look at success, it says payment successful, thank you for your payment. And if we look at cancel, your payment was cancelled, no changes have been made, and it takes you back to the create page. That works. That's what we've got, and this is the result. So we want to say emoji creator, and we're going to say The Incredibles. And we're going to say The Incredibles 2. So it highlights Jack, you see here. So yeah, so that's how we can make a simple AI app using Astro.js and Gemini.